Here is something most high performing women never realize. The way you naturally create value at work is also the reason you might be getting overlooked. If you are wired to execute, influence, build, trust, or think strategically, that strength can either accelerate your promotion or quietly stall it. It depends on whether leadership understands it. In this episode, we are breaking down the four visibility styles and why each one gets misinterpreted when you do not position it clearly. Because being strong is not enough. You have to be legible. Let's go. Welcome to Career Growth for Working Women. This show is for women who are done waiting to be noticed and ready to be compensated for the value they already bring. I'm Shannon, a promotion and compensation coach, and I help women position themselves for real advancement, not by working harder, but by showing their value more strategically using what I call the 5% method. If you're ready for clarity, confidence, and career growth that actually pays off, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. High-performing women rarely have a talent problem. What they often have is a translation problem. The way you naturally create value inside an organization can quietly slow your advancement if it's not positioned correctly. And that feels frustrating because you're not lacking contribution. You are not lacking intelligence. You're not lacking results, but you might be lacking legibility. There are four dominant ways women tend to create value at work. Some create results, some create momentum, some create trust, and some create insight. Every one of those styles is powerful, but each one can become a blind spot if it's not framed in leadership language. Let's talk about what that looks like. There are four dominant ways women tend to create value inside organizations. Operational powerhouses create results. Impact influencers create momentum. Connection leaders create trust. And strategic visionaries create insight. Every one of those styles is powerful, but each one has a shadow side if it's not positioned strategically. Let's start with the operational powerhouse. If this is you, you're the one who gets things done. You execute at a high level, you follow through, you keep projects moving. You're the person leadership relies on when something has to land. The risk? You become indispensable in execution, which means leadership hesitates to move you out of that lane. You get more responsibility, more complexity, more workload, but not necessarily more authority. Your strength becomes containment. Unless you position your execution as leadership impact, not task completion. Now, let's talk about the impact influencer. You create movement, you drive conversations, you rally people, you push decisions forward. You often see the social dynamics in a room before anyone else does. The risk? If not positioned properly, your influence can get interpreted as personality, confident, charismatic, outspoken, instead of strategic momentum creation. And personality gets tolerated, strategy gets promoted. Without clear framing, your impact gets softened into likability. All right, connection leader, you build trust, you strengthen relationships, you stabilize teams, you reduce friction. You often hold emotional intelligence that keeps everything functioning smoothly. The risk? Your leadership gets labeled as being supportive or nice. Trust building becomes invisible because it feels intangible. But trust drives retention. Trust drives collaboration. Trust drives performance. If you do not translate that into business language, it gets undervalued. And finally, the strategic visionary. You see the patterns, you anticipate risk, you connect dots, you elevate thinking, you bring clarity to complexity. The risk? If not positioned well, you get labeled as thoughtful or analytical instead of being recognized as someone who shapes direction. Insight without authority can get parked in the advisory mode, and advisory mode does not always come with title growth. Do you see the pattern? Your strength is not the issue. The interpretation of your strength is the issue. If leadership experiences you primarily through personality traits instead of business impact, your advancement slows. Not because you're not capable, because you're not clearly legible. This is why simply working harder inside your dominant style does not fix the problem. The operational powerhouse who executes more just becomes busier. The influencer who speaks more just becomes louder. The connector who supports more just becomes more relied upon. And the strategist who analyzes more just becomes the thinker in the room. More of the same does not create elevation. Positioning does. And this is where burnout creeps in. Because when your strength is not translating into advancement, your instinct is to compensate. You overfunction. You stretch further. You improve again. But the missing piece is not effort, it's articulation. Leadership promotes what they can quickly understand and defend. When someone asks, why her? The answer must be clear. She drives measurable results across teams. She accelerates decisions and aligns stakeholders. She strengthens cross-functional trust, which improves retention and performance. She anticipates strategic risk and redirects resources effectively. That language changes perception, and perception drives promotion speed. So the question is not which style is better. The question is your dominant style being interpreted as leadership impact or personality? Because if it's being interpreted as personality, you will stay respected but slightly stalled. If it is interpreted as impact, you accelerate. That is the 5% shift. Not changing who you are, but ensuring who you are is positioned in the language leadership rewards. This week, I want you to notice something specific. When you talk about your work, do you describe activity or impact? Do you describe effort or outcome? Do you describe personality or business contribution? That awareness alone is powerful because once you see how your strength is being interpreted, you can start shifting how it is framed. And that is when promotion feels less mysterious. That is when compensation conversations feel more grounded. That is when your value becomes difficult to overlook. Your strength is not your blind spot. Silence about its impact is. Let that sit with you. I'll see you next time. If today's episode sparked something for you, a question, an idea, or a realization, don't ignore it. I offer promotion strategy calls where we walk through your current role, your goals, and how to position you for your next promotion or raise without burning out or overworking. You can book that call using the link in the description. And if this episode helped you, sharing it or leaving a quick review makes a bigger difference than you know. Until next time, keep showing your value clearly. You've earned it.